Thank you for joining. Welcome to today's webinar about how to use gamification to achieve ongoing engagement in your employee referral programs. This webinar is brought to you by Zao. We're a platform that helps companies manage and completely automate your social recruiting and employee referral programs. My name is Ziv Eliraz, and I'm the CEO of Zao. And I'm excited to introduce Tina Karnow, our VP of Biz Dev, who will be leading our webinar today, and I'll be chiming in. Tina has a ton of experience both in biz dev and specializing in referral recruiting strategy and systems. We both have worked with dozens of companies to help them manage their employee referral programs. And we would love to share this information with you all the way from small startups to large public companies. The chat box is available during the webinar, so feel free to type any questions in there. We'll save time for questions and answers at the end. And of course, we love being social, so you can hashtag Zao webinar at any time during the next hour, and we'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Tina to get started.
Hi everyone, this is Tina from Zao. We're excited to have you join us today for our webinar. And today we're going to discuss how to use gamification to increase employee engagement in your referral program, which I know you all want to learn about. We're going to cover a couple topics today, and we're excited to share some information with you. We're going to discuss why employee referral programs have engagement issues and typically fail. We're also going to cover, what is gamification and how can it help boost participation rates in your program. And then towards the end, we're going to give you some great tips and best practices on how to use gamification in order to really amp up your program and get your employees more excited about the program.
Yep. And it wouldn't be a proper gamification webinar if we didn't gamify it. We'll be giving away some prizes at the end of the webinar if you answer a basic gamification question correctly. And so be sure to keep your eyes and ears open. We're going to tell you the question shortly, and when the time comes, we'll ask you to use the chat feature below to answer the question. We'll be giving away Amazon gift cards to the winners. Stay tuned, and good luck.
Yeah, so there's a gift card involved, so you got to pay attention and get ready for that gamification. And before we talk about gamification specifically, we're going to cover what the problem is. And honestly, the big question is, why do employee referral programs have low engagement rates? And we found there's a few reasons. After talking with partners, we see a pattern. First, the required action is too open-ended and broad. So really, in a typical referral program, you would ask employees, who do you know that's a good fit for the position, but then not offer any guidance on how to actually go about finding a great person for that job. So with an open-ended question like, who do you know, you're really not giving them very much guidance. It's basically like asking your employees to solve a Rubik's Cube, basically a puzzle, and it's too hard. So I don't know if any of you have ever tried to solve a Rubik's Cube. It's challenging at first until you understand. Once you have step-by-step instructions, it's actually quite easy. And then you know what to do.
Yeah. Another big problem with employee referral programs is that your chances of winning anything aren't really great. Since companies typically hire between 10 to 15% of their workforce over a year, even if most of your hires are referral hires, more than 90% of your employees are going to be left out, unrecognized and unrewarded for their efforts. That is, if all you're rewarding is successful hires. In addition, the reward is typically just given too far out. Usually, referral rewards are given 3 months after a candidate starts, and we've heard worse cases. That means that it can take anywhere between 120 to 150 days between the time that an employee refers a friend and the point that they get their reward. And nothing kills engagement more than lack of feedback. If you're not going to be actively referring if you feel that your referrals are going into a black hole. So what is gamification exactly? Wikipedia defines it as gamification is the use of game thinking and game mechanics in a non-game context in order to engage users. So while gamification is a relatively new buzzword, it's actually been used to keep people engaged for a long time, maybe even since the Ten Commandments. But certainly in recent times, airline miles are a great example. They're not a game, but they still use elements from games like points, which are miles, or levels, silver, gold, platinum, to keep people engaged. So to sum it up, gamification is the use of the thinking, the learnings, the mechanics from games to increase engagement in non-game systems.
Thanks, Steve. You know, I was interested to see these statistics here. So really, everyone can benefit from this process. I mean, just look at who's using gamification or plans on using gamification in the very near future. Spending on gamification projects will grow as much as $2.8 billion, and that's a huge amount of money. 70% of Global 2000 organizations will implement some type of gaming mechanics into their workplace by 2014. So we're looking at companies like IBM, SAP, and Deloitte, not just small businesses. So here's a graph, and we're going to take a look and see what effects gamification have on employee referral programs. So what we're seeing is typically upon launch, you'll see a high level of engagement. And that's even if you don't use gamification tactics. You know, it's very popular at first, but then very quickly the participation fades out. And gamification is the key to avoiding the big drop-off in engagement. And you can see here in the graph, there's a dip. And then also you can see the trend upward. So when you use proper use of gamification, you can increase engagement over time, which is critical for long-term success of your program. So in the graph, green and orange represent the long-term increase in engagement, and you can see that trending upward. The big question is, how do we do it, and how can we help you do it? What are the game mechanics that we can bring into the referral program to increase engagement? So on that note, Ziv, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm your host for the game show, and it's game time. So over the next few minutes, we're going to review the 3 F's of gamification. These were very nicely laid out by Gabe Zickerman, a well-known gamification expert. The 3 core concepts that, if used properly, are at the center of a successful gamification program. And all you need to do, don't do it yet, and only when we ask you, we ask you for it, and of course we're going to tell you what these 3 F's are, is type them into the chat window. Don't do it yet. Please wait until we finish, and we'll tell you what they are and give you actionable tips on how to use them in the context of employee referral programs. Tina, take it away.
Thank you, Ziv. And the first F here, so pay attention, is feedback. As Ziv mentioned earlier, the problem with typical employee referral programs is that employees don't get any updates or acknowledgement until their referred candidate is hired. And I'm sure you've gotten this feedback probably from employees. You know, what is the status of my referral? And that lack of feedback can very quickly lead to disengagement and frustration. So here we go. Tip number 1. It's really important to keep referrers up to date on the referrals, and this is critical to the success of your program. So we recommend that you keep updates very high level. Really, all you need to do is tell employees or referrers if a referral was qualified or passed interview. And this way employees won't feel like their referrals went into a black hole. You don't have to worry about disclosing too much information, just keep it really high level. And every time you give feedback, you encourage further action, because employees will feel like their actions really matter and are ignored, and they're really helping the company and making a valuable contribution. So here I was going to say another thing that games do really well is step-by-step onboarding. So I'm sure many of you have played the popular game Farmville, and so you know, despite the fact that the game is pretty complex, the initial experience is very structured. And that takes you through every part of the game step by step. And this is critical for the key of your employee referral program. So in order to have a really good gamified employee referral program to be successful, you really need to make a step-by-step guide for your employees. And that's going to bring us to tip number 2. So tip number 2 is make it very clear to employees what you expect of them and what you expect them to do, and acknowledge their efforts when they do so. And the way that we recommend you do this using Zao is we give points for things that we want employees to do, and we make it very clear which actions specifically are more valuable by allocating more points for these. So our partners here can actually allocate which points they want, but we recommend giving more points for actions that are of more value to you, like hiring, or receiving qualified applicants that have been interviewed, but you still may want to give a little something to employees that share jobs as opposed to employees that don't do anything at all. So it's sort of a motivational point system. The point structure in the slide reflects this, and we give 1 point to employees that share jobs with friends, 20 points for a lead, 100 points if a friend applies, and you can see here 400 if HR deems that friend qualified, and so on. So that's going to take us to tip number 3. So tip number 3 is make it easy for your employees to master referrals. And this goes back to that open-ended question being a really bad thing. You want to be really specific what you ask your employees to do. Ask them to review their list of friends, see if they know somebody really relevant and good for the job, and then forward that job on to at least 10 relevant friends. So giving your employees a specific goal is likely to give you better results. And providing your employees with tools can really help increase engagement. So in the screenshot here, you're going to see a tool that Zao puts in the hands of every employee. Using it, we automatically and privately go through the employee's contacts systematically and show them which of their friends is a great candidate and relevant for the job. And then from that point, forwarding the job to a friend is just one click away. It comes with a personalized message. And it's fine if you're not using Zao, just ask your employees to do this manually. Have them go through their LinkedIn contacts or maybe their Facebook contacts, forward the job to relevant people, or give you leads with names of people that they do recommend. And so to summarize here, you really want to make it easy for employees to start. You absolutely have to be very clear of what you're asking of them and then gradually make them professionals using a disciplined step-by-step process. And make it fun.
Okay, so that completes the first core concept of gamification, our first F, feedback. Before we continue, we wanted to run a quick survey regarding the rewards in your employee referral program. So bear with me as I open up the poll. And hopefully you all see this and can chime in. I'll give you a few seconds to respond. Okay, nice, answers are coming in. And this question is obviously, does your referral program include rewards? And please choose one of the following responses, and we'll share the results with everyone once they stop coming in. I see people are still clicking, and it looks like, yep, still coming in, still coming in.
Are we getting some good answers there, Ziv?
Yes, yes. Wow, very, very distinct. We actually did this last time and I'm still seeing them coming in. Okay, so it's no more. Here we go. I'll close the poll and share the results. So very, very distinct answers. 88%, yes, we give cash rewards. 12% don't give any rewards but love referrals. Very interesting. We saw, in the last time we did this, we saw, I forget the exact numbers, but between, I think, 20 to 30% that do give non-cash rewards. This audience is obviously much more polarized. All right, so let's continue with onto the next F.
All
All
right, so
yours.
the second F here is friends. So I'm sure if you've ever played games with your friends, you know it's a lot more fun and engaging than playing solitaire, or let's hope so. And so the same goes for your employee referral program. So giving employees insight on how their friends are doing, really making your referral program engaging and a social process substantially increases engagement and the success of your program. So keep it fun and keep it social. And that's going to bring us to tip number 4. We recommend that you create and share a leaderboard. And so once employees begin to see other people participating in the program and being really proactive, it reinforces their decision to take action. So let's face it, we all know seeing other people do things makes us want to do it too. And so we recommend keeping an up-to-date leaderboard and sharing it with your employee referrers weekly via email. So once employees see other referrals being made by friends, they will definitely be more motivated to take action. And that's going to bring us to tip number 5, Z. We're going to ask you to engage non-employees. So referrals come from people you trust and are known to be the best hires, but you really shouldn't limit yourself from just employee referrals. So over time as a company, I'm sure you come in contact with many great, potential referrals. So think about former employees, business partners, vendors, or possibly even friends of employees. And we've seen a growing number of our customers bring these people into their programs and make great hires doing so. And of course, typically, most of these people are friends of your employees, and we already have reviewed the positive effect of bringing friends on board and what that can do to increase engagement.
Okay, so that's our second F. Before we move on to the final F, we want to run one last survey regarding what you reward. If you reward just for hires, obviously this is aimed mainly towards those people that do reward. But let me launch the poll. So, do you reward effort or just hires? Please choose whether you just reward, if you reward both, if you reward only hires, and of course, if you don't offer rewards at all, just fill that in so we have that information. And I see answers still coming in. Okay, we'll give it a few more seconds.
So are we getting a lot of good responses, Steve?
Yes, yes, they're still coming in. I'll just give it.
Perfect. I like it.
Yes, yes. All right, we will. No, still coming in.
Still going.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Wow, still voting. Okay, we won't. I'll count again. 3, 2, 1. All right, done. And let's share the results. So, yeah, 6%. So I guess some of you that don't offer rewards didn't fill in this one, but 22% reward both effort and hires. That's great. And 72% only reward hires. To these people, we would say consider offering a reward for effort. And if not, hopefully you are at the very least acknowledging people that do refer. And that leads us very well into our final F. So the last and perhaps most important concept of gamification is fun. People like to play games because the sum of it all is having fun, having a good time. And our first tip here, tip number 6, is recognize employee efforts, right? So even if you're not rewarding something, something materialistic, do recognize them, because being acknowledged is fun, and increases engagement. And what's best, it doesn't really cost you anything. All you have to do is just show your employees that you care and that you're thankful for their efforts. Talk about it in a company meeting or in a company email. And as we covered before, in Zao, employees automatically get points for efforts and achievements and badges for great efforts. And those are also great ways to acknowledge efforts. And you can get as creative as you want with this, but we highly recommend acknowledgement of some form in order to keep people engaged. On to tip number 7. Allow more winners, because winning is fun, right? So we talked about it before. The biggest problem of traditional employee referral programs is that if you only reward hires over the course of a year, you're probably only going to reward at best 10% of your employees. And that's really bad. People will understand over time. 90% of people will understand that their chances of winning are slim. So what we recommend is to consider increasing the pool of winners by taking your referral budget and splitting it across the different actions that you want to encourage. You can then make points redeemable for prizes, or make qualified actions redeemable for prizes based on your goals. For example, a company can offer 20 points or a small reward upon signing up quickly, or for referring a candidate that gets invited for an interview. Just try and make sure you can include more people in the rewards that you give out. Tip number 8, create friendly competition, because competing is fun. So we already mentioned the leaderboard is a great way to show that your friends are engaging, and that's an important aspect of gamification, of course. But you can also make it more interesting by offering rewards to the top positions. And Tina, take it away with a few examples for this.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. So, for example, considering offering dinner maybe for the two top, for dinner for two, maybe for the top 5 people on the leaderboard at the end of a given month or quarter. And so I would recommend establishing a firm deadline when, irrespective of hires, that rewards will be given to employees that make the best effort. So the competitive instinct of employees will definitely take over and take care of the rest. And then over time, you can adapt the rules to fall in line with your goals. So, for example, if you have a particular position that you want to fill, and we all have those hard to fill type of positions, have contests that only apply for those positions. Or if reaching number one on the leaderboard over time seems like an impossible obstacle for new employees, because you tend to see people be the front runners after a period of time, you want to make the competitions that only apply to points earned in a certain month or quarter. And that's going to take us to tip number 9. Encourage teamwork, because, of course, working together on achieving a goal is fun, and we want to keep it fun. It is gamification. And you can only do this by setting up a competition between departments and location. That might be a fun way to do it. Or give a collective reward to a department or office that contributes the most qualified candidates. And this will give people the feeling that they're accomplishing something important, working together as a team, and helping the company. And then tip number 10, surprise your employees. Surprises are always fun, and raffles can help you with hiring goals that change over time. So at first, you're going to want to get all of your employees to join the program. So definitely I recommend a raffle between everyone that joins. And then once they're on board, you can up the ante a bit, have a little fun. And have the next raffle be only between those employees that referred a candidate that's qualified. The same can apply for hard to fill positions, and raffles are definitely a great way to have flexible and changing goals and a fun way to keep things exciting and fresh. We recommend maybe, in company meetings, it's a great time to announce surprise awards, create a buzz around the program. And then it's going to take me to our final tip, which is one of my favorites, give back to the community, because giving is fun too. So I recommend too giving some for maybe a specific month or quarter. Instead of giving rewards to employees, you can have the entire company work towards a social goal. So for example, you can have them donate maybe Toys for Tots or a meal for those in needs for every qualified applicant. I think it's great that you can ask your employees to choose social goals that they want to work towards. And nothing beats working towards a common goal that everyone believes in.
All right, so that's it. We tried to keep it short and sweet and pack in as many tips as possible. And now it's time for you to get in the game. So get your chat windows open and type away. What are the 3 F's of gamifications? Please start now. All right, and our first winner is Kate, which got there first, typing in very quickly and correctly. Let's let a few more type in. We're going to give one gift card to Kate, and then we're going to raffle off another one between everybody else, one of the other people that types it in. So I see answers are still coming in. We'll give you
Good job, Kate.
yes, and a few more seconds to. And thank you all for participating, by the way, and thank you all for being engaged. It's pretty amazing. Everyone that joined is still on board, so the numbers are pretty good. Um, and before, very nice. So you can keep typing in before we wrap it up for Q&A. Obviously the answer is that the 3 main concepts of gamification are friends, fun, and feedback. And a lot of you got that right. And as we wrap up, we want to leave you with one final tip. We hear a lot of people putting a substantial effort in the launch of an employee referral program and in planning. And we wanted to say that while you should definitely plan it out, don't forget that an employee referral program is something you do. It's not something you launch. And both Tina and I, as well as the whole team at Zao, are here to help. Feel free to contact us, whether you're a customer or not. We love sharing what we know. We love learning from you. And we know that the best way to do it is by having an open dialogue. All right, so before we wrap it up, if you have any questions, please type them in. I see a few questions already. So the first is, how do you compensate non-employees? So that's actually an important tax issue. If you use Zao, then we take care of it, right? So you pay us whatever the amount of the reward is that you want to pay your non-employees, and we take care of depending on the country. If it's in the States, there's a W-9 and 1099, depending on the amount of the reward. And if it's other countries, there may be other tax issues, but we take care of that. Another question is, oh, is Zao hosted do you need to install it? No, there's nothing to install. It's software as a service. So if you do choose to use Zao to gamify your employee referrals and to manage your employee referrals, then you don't need to install anything. It's just a service that you use. Next question is, how much does Zao cost? Zao is free, so you start using it for free. It's of course a for-pay product, but we don't charge you anything until you hire, and then it's a percentage of the referral reward. And there's more information on our site, or contact us separately. Will you send the webinar? Yes, we're recording this webinar, and we'll share it as well. Here's another question. Bear with me; it's a bit long as I read through it. I wonder if this type of gamification leaves behind the contributions by introverts or less social people. Um, it's an interesting question. I think that it depends on people, and certainly within um, the way that Zao works, there's many different ways to share and many different ways to acknowledge. I think that if it's really important for certain people not to show their contributions, there are ways around it, whether you use us or not. But generally, I think that the vast majority of people enjoy being on the top of the leaderboard and enjoy, being number one, or certainly being compensated and appreciated for their efforts. Next question is, how do you or how are employees updated? That's a very good question. Is one of the things that you should do is give employees feedback, and if you don't use an automated system, then you have to do it manually. Obviously, if you use Zao, then anytime a job is shared, and anytime an employee that recommends someone, the person they recommend goes through the process, the employee gets an update, so they know if the referral they made is qualified, they know if the referral they made is in process or not, if interviewed, and eventually, obviously, um, if they're hired. Next questions. Concern that employee referral programs or gamification will take time away from employees. So that is something that can be addressed on two levels. The first is that many companies believe that hiring great people is one of the most important things that a company needs to do, and that employee participation is as important, maybe sometimes even more important than their job. That's an overall statement. And the second is, specifically if you use Zal, that's the beauty of an automated system where, we talked about the matching, and we're happy to talk about Zal separately if you want to contact us. But a lot of the things that we do are actually automating everything. So what we ask of employees typically doesn't take them more than 5 or 10 minutes a week, which is more than enough to properly tap into their network and to the network of their friends. Another question coming in: can you create competitions between departments and groups? Yes, we can. So again, you should do that if you don't use Zao, irrespectively, because that encourages teamwork. But within Zao, we can help you track that as well. Does Zao offer a content management system for job descriptions? Tina, I'll let you take that while I read through the rest of the questions because they're still coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of content management for job descriptions, we have a couple ways we work with partners. We can upload your jobs via, a file, and you can make updates and edit those job descriptions. We provide best practices and recommendations on writing job descriptions, and we can also integrate with your applicant tracking system in terms of making it an automated process. So if you do make updates in terms of content for job descriptions, it'll automatically update in Zao system as well.
Okay, next question. Do you have an automatic infrastructure to update employees about the process of the people they referred? So maybe this question came in addition to the one before, but the answer is yes. As employees are deemed qualified and interviewed and ultimately hired, we keep your employees, fully in the loop on the status of each and every one of the people that they referred. They have that in their account. They can log in, and they also get email updates about that. Next question. What other way can we use gamification to build upon employee engagement? Yeah, I think we tried to cover most of the good ideas that we've seen work. Tina, do you have any other things that you think we didn't mention?
In terms of gamification, I think the key things are just being creative. Keep an open mind. I mean, understand what your own goals are for your program and see how you can sort of apply gamification to inspire those actions and create those actions that you want your employees to have. So I've dealt with a lot of partners where one of their core concerns is just getting sign up and getting people to join. And so, as we mentioned, raffles are a great way to address that. Once the program's launched, you tend to see, as I mentioned, front runners. So people who are very involved and then others who aren't as involved. So I think doing monthly type gamification programs keep keep employees engaged, get creative how you communicate to them about these fun gamification events that you're going to have. I think, Steve, you mentioned, you've talked to partners who have literally, rolled in something like iPad Mini or a fun flat screen TV and put it in the lobby and got some excitement and buzz around the gamification effort for that particular month to get employees engaged. So really, we're happy to chat with you on a one-on-one basis to see what recommendations we can put together for you based on your specific goals.
Next question. What is the size of most of your clients? It's a very broad range. I mean, we've had small startups with 5 or 10 employees successfully hire with us, as well as big public companies consistently month over month perform well. So it's really a very, very broad range. It works for anyone. Next question. With programs involving raffles, have you found that people who participate less but end up winning and make the biggest participators spiteful? I think that it's a good point. I think you need to balance between the two, right? So what you want is you want to acknowledge the biggest participators and for their efforts, and we talked about that before. You do that by offering prizes or just saying thanks to the topmost people on the leaderboard. But what you also want to have is to give people who maybe joined late to the company a chance to win. So what will happen typically if you look at the leaderboard over time, you'll see top participants get a lot of points, and then an employee that comes after 6 months or a year may feel that winning is too daunting of a task. And we recommend solving this by one of two things. The first thing you can do is introduce a raffle where people have a fair chance of winning as long as they produce a quality action. And the second thing is look at the points on a time basis, right? And we support that. So you can always view the leaderboard with different time spans or job spans. So you can look at, okay, let's look at all the points accumulated in May. So people that have been with a company for a long time never lose their status, but for a particular competition, you only look at rewards that are, you only give rewards to points that are accumulated in a specific time period or for a particular job. And you can do both those things, again, either automatically with Zao or on your own. Let me see if we have any more questions. No, I think that's it. All right, so we can wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will be sending both the slides and the webinar recording to everyone very shortly. Remember to connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and send us your comments, questions, and feedback at support@zao.com. And we would love to hear from you. So thank you all for joining, and we'll hope to talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. This is Tina. We appreciate you joining us today, and hopefully you've gotten some great tips and best practices on how to gamify your employee referral program. And feel free to contact us as a follow-up if we can help you in any way. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Bye.